So let's understand about CSS Transform. It is one single property. Yeah, it's one single property, but it supports different values. Just to show you how does the transform works and the different values it supports, we are on an MDN page, as you can see. So what MDN is saying, this CSS property lets you rotate, scale, skew, or translate an element. Okay, so we have some element that can be scaled, skewed also, and translate plus rotate. So just to quickly get an idea of what it is, so we will see some examples here. So let's start with transform. This is a property, and translate 120 pixel and 50%. I think you saw the difference, correct? You see? And then there is a value called scale. Yes, it's not a value, it's function. Yeah, so we use this function as a value for transform. It's also possible to rotate. See, 0.5 turn. Yeah, skew, and then we can
So these
possible to
values
do
belongs
so
to the
many things
X
like
and Y coordinates.
scale, translate, and all that in one go. Yeah, see, skew, and then you can see the scaling to its off and also transforming it back. So now let's see how this type of things can be handled with this transform property. As always, it is important to understand the default value. So the default value of transform is none, which means there is no transformation which will be added to the elements which we add to the page. Also, this can be used for clearing the transformation. For example, if I have done some transformation, that can be removed also. Fine. That is what is transform none, and that's a default value for transform property. Again, if you ask me to which element I can apply this property, so no restriction. So CSS properties, so no restrictions at all. You can apply to any of the elements. It could be simple button, your div, yeah, whatever elements, no restriction on it. But now we are learning, so what are the different values and how this property helps, or what is the, you know, the purpose of this property. Okay, so for the first one is none, so which has not that looking nice. So let's see the second value, which is called translate x 40 pixel. See what has happened here. You see the output. Okay, so you see a translation which has happened. So originally the element was here, but then when I give x translate x, it moved along the x-axis by 40 pixel. So it basically drifted from its original position. Same way we have got translate y also, which says, yeah, now let's say if there is an element, you can also move the element down. You are moving the element to the left, you are moving the element to the down using translate y. Is it clear? So basically transform supports one of this value, one of the value which is called translate. The function itself is called translate. It's a function, CSS function which is defined, and we are using the value. So let's see with some example. Okay, so now the button is here. I would like to transform this button. Yeah, I would like to transform. Basically, I want to change, so you understand the literal meaning of transform in English, right? From one thing to other. Now here, instead of transforming it totally, so we want to move this element from here to somewhere else. So I can use transform, which is a property. The value is, so we can use this function called translate. You can say 40 pixel. Yeah. So let's say translate X 40 pixel, then this is fine. I say translate, then it supports two values also. Let's say 40 pixel, 40 pixel. See what happened? The element started moving from its original position by 40 pixel X and 40 pixel Y. And as we saw, so this function has a, uh, you know, again a function called translate X, which can only do the X direction, and there is a Y, which can only move the element in Y. So basically translate as a function which is used for moving. Now another cool thing is this is also possible to have the move the element in negative direction also. See, you can see it now. The element has gone, bit hidden, correct? You don't see it. Yeah, basically you can move the element backwards also. We saw how to move forward. We can also move the elements backward. You might be wondering what is the purpose of this? Yeah, you might be wondering like what do I do with this actually? Okay, this is all fine. How do I use? Maybe just to give you an example. Okay, so this is 10 pixel. Now imagine I want to create a moving, you know, I just want to create an effect of moving this from here to here slowly. Tell me, have you done something is in CSS already like this? Did we learn?
No, no, sir.
Not really, correct? But what if I have some function which is available, which will run this, which will run this maybe once it reaches, till here it will move this slowly and again backwards. Yeah. So all I'm saying is this is a kind of animation. This helps in kind of animating this element. Let me show you. Okay. Just I'll mimic the same by using just dev tools. I'll show you. So basically this particular property can help you adding some, animation. So we use this even for moving the element. So where is my property which I applied, which is translate? Just a second. Did I apply? Okay, I applied for the button, which is a type selector. Yeah, you see here. Now, do you see where element is just got moved, correct? Now you see the button starts moving actually. Do you see button starts moving? I'm just showing
Yes,
this
sir.
manually, but I am trying to say this can be done. Yeah, so moving forward and backward. This can be done using pure CSS. That's where this translate will actually help me. This works in either direction also. Basically, I can put a some timing function. In that timing function, I just want to move this element forward and backward. Clear? Okay. So I just told you transform as a property takes, helps in a lot of things. In that, one of the useful function is translate and the different syntax and okay, how we can actually use. Now it has got one different syntax like in terms of the value. So we can also give percentage. So you see when we give percentage specifically with respect to translate, the percentage value when we are calculating it is relative to that element itself. If you remember when we talked about the box model properties like width and height, we had discussed it is with respect to or it is the percentage is relative the parent element's width. If you remember, yeah, even for margin padding we can give percentage, right? So that time we had discussed
Yes.
it is relative to the parent element's width. And for some of the properties, it is related to the parent's height also. But here, specifically when we are using percentage with respect to translate, then it is the actual element itself. Alright? Yes. Yeah. So remember, this percentage is relative to the element itself, which means, for example, if I say 100%, then so this assume this element is 200 pixel, then it's just 200 pixel, translating by 200 pixel in the final value. And as I said, we can combine both x and y in one function by using translate. Now let me tell you another use case of this transform and translate. You have not seen this, but let me show you what is the use. So imagine I want to put this element exactly in the center. I want to place this element, tell me exactly in center. Can you tell me how do you do it? Do you know any ways to make this neutral, to make exactly in the middle of the viewport? Anybody? Would like to prompt me
I
an
don't
answer?
know. Yeah, by using flex.
So let's say you already know flex, then you will say I'll have to put this element in the parent, correct? I'll have to wrap a parent, then container, and then in that container I'll put this div, button. And now, so we have now the things become easy because using flex I can say display flex, justify content center, align
Justify
content
content,
center.
align content, center,
Still things are not working because okay, I'll have to give an height which is to match as per the
and
viewport
red
height,
viewport.
the content. Do you see it is exactly in the center? This is one of the technique. So people who knows flex, they already studied flex. So you say this answer. But why I'm talking about aligning center and all this? I'm going to show you it is possible to do the same implementation without having this flex technique. There is another technique which can be done when we cannot use flex, or people used to use this technique before flex. Flex is a bit recent thing. How? Let me show you. That too using position and translate. And this was also one of the famous question when I used to face interviews in early days. Okay, so let me show you how to do this. Okay, this is a button. I would like to place it exactly in the center. So the way it works is, okay, I have to use position.
Position relative.
What I have to use? Position. So let me use absolute. We know what is absolute. And I give now top 50% and left also 50%. So do you see it is exactly in the center now? There is no.
Yes, sir.
Just
No.
now we discussed what is percentage. Yeah. So in most of the cases, percentage is relative to its percentage is relative to its parent. Now what is the parent element of button? What's the parent element of button? It is body.
Body.
50% of that. Yeah. Again here 50% is again, so in the body like half of it width we have shifted. But there is one problem here actually. Yeah. So let me show you what is that problem actually. So the problem that is having is, let's say this is my viewport and the element was somewhere here. Let me draw the element. I have moved this exactly 50%. So let me show you where that 50% cuts. So assume if this is 50% on the horizontal, and this cuts exactly 50% of you know I mean this is horizontal and this is vertical. Yeah, these 2 points intersect where? At this point. So now right now I'm placing the element at this place. Do you see it is in the center now?
No, sir.
Do you see this button is in the center?
No, sir.
Agree? This is in the center, correct? No, how can it be? Right? So now the point that I have to do is I have to place this to the center like this. This is what is center. See, with the position value which I gave, it became here. But I have to put this element back. So for this, yeah, to put that element back by how much? How much we'll do? So let me show you. So that is what we can actually use a transform with translate. So what we are saying, let's translate it, back 50% and also translate in the y direction by another 50%. Okay. So with this transform and having a translate, now the element comes exactly in the center. You observe now, I've not used flex. I did not use any of these modern properties, but I've used a CSS without flex using position and transform.
Yes, sir.
Now what exactly this transform, I mean the translate did few seconds ago, I mean the minutes ago, we understood with the translate the percentage means the actual element width, which means if I have to go back here, so when I did translate x 50%, okay, the element shifted 50% of its width to the what? To the left, which is in the negative axis because I have given minus 50%. I have not given plus 50%. Huh? Observe that. Now again on the y direction again I have given negative 50%, which means it has to go back. So it has gone up by 50% of that element itself. That's why it is here. So initially it moved 50% with respect to its parent element, which was body. So 50% of body was here, and then again 50% on the height was here. All right. So this is something interesting that you have learned with respect to CSS transform translate function. How does the translate function works? And I think mostly I've told you the different use cases as well. Now let's understand few more things. Yeah. I think now the things are. Uh, I think with the translate, I think things will become easy because so we have got a function called rotate also. What if I want to rotate this? Yeah. So for the, again, I have to use transform and then I have to say rotate. Yeah. You saw there is something called 0.5 turn. Okay. Which is a new value. You see, just turn upside down. I can also put 0.75 turn. Yeah. So, so this is a new value which I've seen. So also it is possible to give using degrees. So let's say I want 45 degree. I want to rotate this again 45 degrees only. I want to give negative 45 degree. Cool. This is what is rotate. Yeah. So rotate with the degree value. You can even give any, you know, degree values out of the 360 degree. Yeah. Let's say you want 275. That still works. Okay. Now you see translate is also done. Rotate is also done. So one of the value which was there, I can put this rotate directly as a to the property of, I mean, in one liner basically. Basically this accepts both this transformation. Now there is one more function which we can apply for the transformation, which is, yeah, skew. I think scale. Scale is a interesting one. So like scale. So scale accepts a factor, 1. I can also even say 1.25. Do you see what happens now? 1 and 1.25. Have you seen this scaling? How it's working, Anna? Yeah? Especially,
Yes,
I
sir.
think I've seen this in a lot of templates. So where you do a mouse over, then the element scales. Let me show you how that effect works actually. So many of the buttons you would have noticed this effect. Okay, let me copy this. So on button hover, I would like to do some scaling. So for that I'll remove this thing also. So I have a button on hover. I would like just to shake the button so that user feels that, oh yeah, button has actually I've clicked. Yeah, just to improve the user experience. You can apply this property. See what happens now. Yeah, so which is too much, I think, too much of scaling, but that's fine. Let's say 1.1. Very small tilt is also fine. Are you able to observe what is happening? Yeah, think
Yes, sir.
you,
When we are mouse hovering,
yeah,
it is
this is the effect I
shifting
was
from
actually
click
looking
mode.
for. Not that, okay, it has to transform and then translate and then show. See this? Yeah, are we not seeing the same effect which was required here? Maybe no. But I think in some of the examples, okay, this is different. Okay, I've noticed. Okay, or maybe you also seen this kind of thing. So which is what is the purpose of having transform and scaling. Yeah. So like this, you see there are so many transformation functions are there. I think there are very few only which are discussed here, especially in the CSS reference. But if I go back to their official page, yes, they have got even, I think, yeah, we understood translate, scale, rotate, easy ones. Skew is also basically to as a skew X and skew Y. Yeah. So we also got what is called as matrix. Yeah, they have got matrix 2D, 3D. Yeah, default one is 2D, and we have got a 3D matrix also. And you see the different functions we have. Even there's something called perspective. Yeah, these are some new values. But I think, yeah, we can learn from the documentation what each of these value is. But I think you got an idea now with few of the values that we learned what exactly transform as a property and how we can actually how this will help basically in making our UI better. Yeah, so we learned it is possible to shift the element. Okay, is it possible? It is possible to shift the element from its normal position like we do in position. It's also possible to scale. It's also possible to rotate, skew. Yeah, so we can apply all the transformation in one go. This property also basically helps us in animation. Yeah, so we in the animation basically we use these properties only to make it different. Yeah, for example, what if I want this button to rolling from left to right, correct? So we can create those kind of effects also with respect to transform property. All right. Hope this is cool and interesting to see also. Yeah, the effects, how the transform does. So this is all about translate. You see, there are a lot of, as I was telling, so there are many functions. For example, you want to understand what is this, so you can search for MDN, CSS, and then say let's say matrix as a function. So you will get an idea on okay what exactly is matrix does, what are the different values that I can give. Okay, so the complete syntax is available here. So in practice, I have not seen these other values are used. The ones which I just covered are mostly common ones: rotate, scale, and then translate. Okay, that's all for now. See you. Okay, guys. So any questions from